Everybody, JC here from Toy News International, and it's time for another TNI news video where I go over the latest happenings in the world of action figures. And we've got a lot to go over this week. Also, as the filming of this video, we're just over a week away from Toy Fair. I hope you've marked your calendars for Saturday, February 18th. That's next Saturday. When all of our actual Toy Fair coverage will begin. And actually leading up to that, I expect a number of reveals to be made by toy companies. We can probably expect reveals coming from DC Collectibles next week, maybe some more reveals from Hasbro, maybe NECA. They like to reveal some stuff early. So I hope you have ToyNewsEye.com, MarvelousNews.com, JediInsider.com, and TFormers.com all bookmarked because that's where we'll be posting our coverage as it happens. And then this week there were some reveals, some new Marvel Legends stuff. So I'm going to recap. I did a video earlier this week talking about the Marvel Legends stuff, but I am going to do some brief recapping here, and then also some additional details and rumors that I wanted to tell you guys about. Now, before I get into that, I also wanted to let you guys know that the new X-Men Marvel Legends wave has started to hit overseas in Singapore. So that wave is, people are starting to get that wave in hand now. And I don't have an actual release date here in the United States, but my best guess still is probably the end of March or early April. Also, with the Guardians of the Galaxy wave, the Titus Build-A-Figure wave, that wave is now starting to hit shelves here in the United States. It's being found at Walgreens stores, I believe primarily on the West Coast right now, but that wave is starting to be released. I also have it on very good authority that e-tailers should start getting that wave in early next week. So if you pre-order it from someplace like Big Bad Toy Store, probably a good chance you're going to get an email next week letting you know that it's come in and will be shipping to you soon. I hope to have that wave in hand early next week so that I can start bringing you reviews of it before I have to head out to New York City for Toy Fair. Alright, so in case you missed it, Hasbro revealed some new Marvel Legends 6-inch Spider-Man Homecoming figures this week. They confirmed for us that there is a 2-pack coming. I told you about the 2-pack last week. It is in fact coming. It's going to feature a new Iron Man figure and a new Spider-Man figure, which is going to have an alternate Tom Holland head. Now, we've yet to see an image of the figure with the alternate head. Hasbro didn't release that, but they did say it would be coming with that. That set is going to cost $39.99, and it will be released at basically any place that carries Marvel Legends. It's not an exclusive. I don't have an exact release date, but probably will be released sometime around the release of the movie. Also, they revealed for just regular 6-inch Marvel Legends a new Spider-Man Homecoming figure, movie figure. This one will have the web wings under the armpits like we see in the trailer where he's flying over the Washington Monument. We're also getting Spider-Man in his homemade suit. At some point in the movie, he dons a homemade suit, a hoodie, something basically he just kind of threw together. And then the third figure is the Vulture figure, which we'd seen before, but we're getting a better look at the Vulture. And then each of the figures in that wave are going to have a Vulture wing piece, not an actual build-a-figure, but build-a-wing. The Vulture has these huge wings, and the wings themselves will even have its own little figure stand. So that's what that wave can include. Now, we don't know what the other figures in the wave are going to include. I believe we might see figures such as Tombstone, comic book versions of Tombstone, maybe a modern Moon Knight, a male version of the Beetle, and Cosmic Spider-Man. That wave was rumored, and I think at least some of those might be what we see to round out that wave of movie figures. Again, that's not confirmed. Now, a couple other things I wanted to go over that I don't have confirmed. These are purely rumor, but we've got a Thor movie wave coming, or basically Thor themed wave, which is going to have movie figures. Now, I'm about 95% that each of these waves are actually coming. I'm just not sure how accurate these listings for the figures in each of these waves are. But for the Thor wave, we've got a listing for a Thor figure. I believe this is supposed to be a comic book version. Odinson, Thor movie figure based on the upcoming new movie. Enchantress. Now I'm guessing this is maybe a movie version, being that we just got an Enchantress figure in the Doctor Strange wave, and then also got the Comic Con exclusive version Enchantress. I doubt they would do a third comic book version of Enchantress. So either this list is bogus or this is likely a movie version of Enchantress. We're getting a Hela figure, a new Hela figure. Now we did get Hela in the Comic Con exclusive figure, I think, was it 2 years ago? And so that's probably just, if this is true, that's probably going to just be a re-release of that figure. We're getting Ares, which again I think is comic book version, and then the Build-A-Figure is said to be Executioner for that wave. Then also a Marvel Knight / Netflix, Marvel Netflix TV series wave. Now this is probably pretty accurate. A couple maybe not sure, but Daredevil, Netflix Daredevil, I would say is probably almost definite. Punisher, being we saw Punisher at San Diego Comic-Con, the Netflix Punisher, I'm sure that's probably accurate. Jessica Jones, again, we saw at San Diego Comic-Con, so that is probably accurate. Then Elektra, Netflix Elektra version. I believe it's supposed to be a Netflix version, not comic book version. And I would say there's probably a pretty good chance of that. The other two figures, I'm not sure. So Blade, now, was it 3-4 years ago, Hasbro was going to release a Blade figure and never did. It's possible, I suppose, they could finally be releasing that figure, though it's old enough. I would almost think if they were going to do a new Blade figure, they would actually do a new sculpt, but I don't know that for sure, so we'll have to see what that is. And then Bullseye, a new Bullseye figure. Again, this would probably be comic book version since Bullseye is yet to show up in the Netflix TV series. And then the third wave I wanted to tell you about is another Guardians of the Galaxy wave, and beyond the Titus Build-A-Figure wave that's now starting to hit shelves. Now this one, again, some of these are probably pretty accurate since we've seen the actual figures. That would be Adam Warlock, comic book version of Adam Warlock. Death Heads 2, we saw both of those figures at New York Comic Con last year. Then a Gamora figure, which would probably be a movie version. Nebula, again, would probably be a movie version. Rocket Raccoon, which would probably be a movie version. Another Star-Lord, so this would probably, we got the Star-Lord coming in this new wave that's just now starting to hit. Then there's supposed to be a 2-pack coming that's going to have a Star-Lord and I think his father, and then another Star-Lord. So that would be our third Star-Lord figure. And then this, which I've got to confirm from a pretty decent source, however, it makes no sense to me, so I don't know. But the Build-A-Figure for this wave is rumored to be Mantis. I don't know why Mantis, who is a pretty frail and petite character, we saw her in the trailer, so I don't know why she would be a Build-A-Figure. Now also, some of you had been asking, and I thought maybe we would see another X-Men wave this year beyond the one with the Warlock Build-A-Figure. But I've gotten word from a pretty good source that it looks like this Warlock Build-A-Figure X-Men wave is probably the last X-Men wave we're going to see, at least for a while this year. There is the 2-pack that's supposed to be coming with the Dark Phoenix and a second unknown figure, and maybe even some other exclusives that we haven't heard about. But as far as an actual X-Men wave, regular release wave, I believe this Warlock Build-A-Figure wave is going to be the last one for at least this year. Again, that's not confirmed. That's just based on what some sources have told me. Okay, also, Hasbro this week announced a couple new 12-inch Marvel Legends 12-inch figures, and that is Thor and the Incredible Hulk. So I told you about these earlier this week. Now, I do have a few more details about these. The Thor figure is going to cost $49.99, $50, which is what all the other 12-inch Marvel Legends have been costing, and that's going to be the normal size. But the Hulk apparently is going to stand taller than the other figures. It's going to stand 14.5 inches tall and is said to cost, and when I say said by Hasbro, the MSRP or suggested retail price is going to be $74.99. So that one's going to be basically $25 more expensive, I guess, because he's going to be bigger. Both of these are supposed to be available towards the end of the year. So if you are into the 12-inch Marvel Legends, that line does look like it's going to continue on into this year. Also Deadpool, which I did a review a couple weeks ago now, and that one should be hitting any day now. Mezco held an event this week, a pre-Toy Fair event this week, where they showed off a number of new 112 collective figures. So we're getting, and this is kind of a surprise, we're getting a 112 collective Netflix Daredevil figure. So if for some reason Hasbro didn't give us a Netflix Daredevil this year, Mezco is definitely giving us one. So they showed that off. We're getting a new Wolverine, and then we're getting a classic Iron Man figure, which looks pretty good, and a Doctor Strange comic book figure. Now, besides Marvel, they also revealed that they're going to be releasing a Popeye figure. So if you're a fan of the old classic Popeye cartoon, they're doing a Popeye. For you Star Trek fans, they are continuing that line with a Dr. McCoy figure. They're doing Dawn of Dead Zombies, and then an Evil Dead 2 Ash figure. So if you're into, Bruce Campbell and Ash, they're doing a version of him. And then we got new looks at other figures we'd seen previously, like the new Darkseid figure for their DC comic line. That figure continues to look very cool. It's going to have the light up eyes and everything. We're getting the Harley Quinn figure, Superman, a Joker figure, Deathstroke the Terminator, and Dawn of Justice Wonder Woman figure, and a new Batman figure as well. So those all look pretty good. And then finally, it was announced today, or late last night, that Hot Toys is going to be doing a 1/6 scale Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ghost Rider figure. So if you watch the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, Ghost Rider appeared on the series earlier this season, and they're going to be doing a figure of that. I assume it's just the figure. They're not going to do his car in the TV series, just like I think in the comics these days he drives a car, and I don't know if it's going to include that or not, but I would doubt it. Moving on, Hasbro also made some announcements for Star Wars this week. If you're into the titanium figures that they used to do, they're bringing those back in the 3 3/4 inch scale. These are basically the metal figures. They fall under the Black Series line, so they're called Black Series figures, but they're basically a return of the titanium line. And they're doing Darth Vader, Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Obi-Wan Kenobi from Episode 4. And then also they announced what's called the Centerpiece line. So this kind of reminds me a little bit of the Unleashed line that they did a while back. Again, this falls under the Black Series. And these are basically figures that are on like diorama type displays. Now, from what I can tell, the figures don't have a whole lot, if any, articulation. So they're kind of like little mini statues. The dioramas do have cool things like lights and stuff like that. And this is going to cost $49.99. The titanium figures, the 3 3/4 inch titanium figures, those are going to cost $14.99 each. And both of these lines will be released later this year. So that's it for news, and I've got a few Q&A questions. I only picked out a few this week because I figured the news was going to run a little long this week. Again, this is something we started doing, so each week if you ask a question in the comments section below, indicate Q&A, then I'll try and pick the question out for next week's news video and post your question and give you the best answer I can. So this week's first question comes from Mason McDonald, and he asks, "Hey JC, have a question. Are you more of a Marvel fan or a DC Comics fan? And if so, why? And do you think the S.H. Figure Art should make Ben 10 figures?" So I'm more of a Marvel fan. It's what I got into as a comic book reader. I got into Marvel. So technically, when I first started reading comic books, I got into G.I. Joe and Transformers, which back in the day were done by Marvel Comics. And that got me in turn into other comics like Spider-Man and X-Men and stuff. So I became, at a young age, a Marvel reader, and then branched out eventually into DC Comics, basically about the time of the first Michael Keaton Batman movie. But because that was kind of the first comics that I got into were Marvel, I've always probably been more of a Marvel fan than DC in general. As far as Ben 10 figures, S.H. Figure Arts, I've not heard of anything. I certainly wouldn't say it's impossible. I will tell you guys that Friday, the day before Toy Fair, we're actually going to be attending another kind of pre-Toy Fair event for Bluefin Distributors and Tomasi Nation. So we might get some reveals for some new S.H. Figure Art stuff then. Alright, this name I'm probably going to mess up a little bit, but SA Tipo Nerd asks, "Hey JC, big fan of the channel. Does NECA plan on doing Kong Skull Island action figures, or which company will make those?" No, NECA is not doing Kong figures. The company that picked up that license is called Leonard Toys. They do a lot of like military type G.I. Joe almost like type figures. Definitely more for younger kids. You find them at places like Walmart, and in fact, those Kong figures are actually already starting to hit shelves. If you caught my toy hunting video this week, you'll see I saw some of those at the Walmart store I was at. Prometheus 4201 asks, "Can you buy any early exclusive action figures at Toy Fair?" No. In fact, you can't buy any figures at Toy Fair. Toy Fair is not an event where you buy figures. It's not open to the public. It's a trade show where basically companies come and show their new products for the year. So basically, think about it as Toys R Us, or think about it as, say, like a Hasbro or whatever company is showing their products to retailers like a Toys R Us. And I mean, it ranges from large retailers like Toys R Us, Walmart, and Target to smaller guys as well. But basically, it's where they show off their product lines to these retailers and hope that the retailers then buy that stuff to sell in their store. So that's what Toy Fair is. And they don't sell figures to like individuals there or anything like that. Now, back in the day when I first started doing this, like over 10 years ago, they did used to hand out some exclusives to, like, you know, the press and people who attended the show. These weren't things that they sold. They actually just gave it as a gift. They don't really do that much anymore. You know, the atmosphere of Toy Fair has changed a lot. Used to be back in the day, you know, they were like, you know, really excited when the press and stuff came out to their stuff. Nowadays, they're just like, oh, let's get the press through as quickly as possible and be done with them. So not a lot of exclusives or anything cool like that. I did pull out this one just to show you. This was my very first main year of covering Toy Fair. I had actually gone to Toy Fair the year before, but I really, at that time, I was just getting into the business, knew nothing about it, and so I really kind of considered the year that they released this the first year that I covered Toy Fair. And this is an exclusive that Hasbro gave out that year. This was done in 2002, so this was a long time ago, but this is like one of my favorite prized possessions. I don't know how much it's worth. This was an exclusive type of exclusive that you used to get from companies. So this is it's Darth Vader done in a metallic silver type color, and he's got the lightsaber that sticks out through the packaging. So it's kind of an very cool exclusive that was only offered at Toy Fair. You can probably go on eBay and find a few, but again, this is the kind of exclusives they used to give back in the day. But again, nowadays, you really don't see that anymore. All right, so the last question comes from Danny007321. "Hey JC, I was wondering if by any chance you know when the classic Mezco Punisher will be released." Well, Danny, in fact, I do. The figure is actually out now. You can pick it up at Big Bad Toy Store. They have it in stock. And in fact, I hope to have that figure in hand I definitely will have it in hand early next week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to a review before I leave for New York. I've got a bunch of stuff coming in. I've got the Guardians of the Galaxy Marvel Legends. I've got the Mezco 112 Collective Punisher figure, as well as the Daredevil figure, which should be here next week. So I don't know what I'm going to get to next week as far as reviews. Plus, you know, like I mentioned, I expect a lot of reveals leading up to Toy Fair. So I'll probably throw together some quick news videos to give you updates on that as it happens. So again, we'll just have to play it by ear. All right, guys, so that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here. Leave your questions down below. I love to hear from you guys. And don't forget, Toy Fair begins next Saturday at February 18th, starting early morning with DC Collectibles.